Good morning, good morning. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. Charles here, and welcome to the Charles Matthews Morning Show. Now, this weekend, I had the pleasure of working with a team to give scholarships out to students. And in their conversation, they talked about how difficult it was to go to university and all the work and all the hard books they had to read and how many books they had to read and chapters after chapters after chapters. So I found it very interesting that my next guest is an expert on the reading. How fast can you read? How much knowledge can you bring in? So without further ado, let's bring him on and ask him all these questions because I want to pick his brain on how he does what he does. Please give a round of applause to Howard. How you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Man, look at the title. It says right there, World's Fastest Reader. World's fastest reader. Now, I want to get into all that a little bit, but let's get to know you a little better. Born and raised, where you from?
Brooklyn. I grew up in the projects, which was not a great place to grow up. There were a lot of gangs, and I found the safest place in my neighborhood was the library.
Okay.
The kids in gangs would rather be dead than caught in the library. The worst thing in the library was a paper cut. Where I grew up, it was a West Side Story without the music and dancing.
Yeah.
I met Bernardo. He had a knife. He wasn't smiling, and he wasn't dancing. So the library was a great place to hang out. And the worst thing in the library was a paper cut. I could live with that.
You're safe.
Pretty much, except for the paper cuts, but they were better than the real cuts that you got out of the library. So,
all right. So let me ask you this then. Growing up in that area, what did you want to do? Like, what did you want to do with your life when you're growing up? You know, you're in this hood, you're in this type of neighborhood. What did you see yourself getting out and doing?
well, I was very young and wanted to be an astronaut, but I went on the merry-go-round and I was on the stationary horse and got sick. So I decided that probably wouldn't be the best choice for me as a career. I thought perhaps in a space capsule you moved around in different directions, and if you got sick on the merry-go-round, probably that wasn't your best choice of career. So I revised that one very early on. I was always interested in science. I actually ended up majoring in two sciences, biology and psychology. So it's called psychobiology, not psychotic biology. That's Frankenstein.
Okay.
Psychobiology is the biology of behavior. And using what I learned about the brain, I got up to 80 pages a minute.
Okay, so see here's the thing now. All right, so you're in the library, you're like, oh, and let me look at some books and want me to waste time. What was your favorite books to read?
As a child or now?
As a child.
Well, I remember reading a lot of the Tom Swift books. I mean, going back earlier, it was more Dr. Seuss, but that's when I was really first learning to read. Those were great books for a child that was learning words. But I like Tom Swift a lot, which was a science fiction series. And I read a lot of mythology. By the time I was 7, I got interested in comparative religion. I was studying all the different mythologies: Greek, Roman, Nordic. There's a lot. I found similarities, like the god in Zeus had a beard, Jupiter had a beard, and Odin had a beard. They were like old guys with a beard. So there was a commonality there. I saw, well, it didn't matter which culture you're in, they also some old guy with a beard. And then
But you're clean shaven. So what happened to your beard? What happened?
Well, I'm not God. So so I'm okay. But if you look at the Sistine Chapel, he had a beard.
Yeah.
So apparently people like a bearded God. It works well. If you're a deity, you want to be worshipped, grow a white beard and have long hair. And you got half the task is there. Or have somebody who's good at makeup.
There you go. So it's all about the beard. It's all about we're good to go.
Pretty much. Certainly, it was a commonality. They all had beards. So
then let me ask you this: when did you start finding out you had this talent? Like when you started reading the book, at what age did you go, oh, I'm done already? What happened? Did I miss a part? Did I go back a chapter? Like, when did you find out?
Well, before I learned to read fast, I was reading 3,000 words a minute, which is 15 times faster than normal. I read The Lord of the Rings in 3 days, but I didn't read it. I worked in Manhattan. I was 17. I had a job, and it was between college and summer. So I would read it on the train going to work. So within 3 days, I read all three Lord of the Rings volumes. They were about this big, and people would stare at me on the train like, "What is he doing?" And I
Uh-huh.
wasn't even speed reading. I was just reading normal. But then when I got up to 80 pages a minute, people would really stare. But it seemed normal to me. It was about a page and a half a second.
Right.
And to me, it was normal because that's what I was doing. But there's different kinds of reading. There's inspectional reading where you're looking for the big picture. And if I was to learn this, what would I know? And
Mm-hmm.
that you could read very, very quickly. There's analytical reading where you're learning the details, can take a test and do very well. Like I did a graduate course in educational psychology in 7 hours. Now, it's a 5 month course. So I did the AP test, which was a 6 hour test in 50 minutes, and I got a B plus. Now, I didn't get an A, but say, why not? Because I wasn't looking for an A. I was a teacher. I
Mm-hmm.
needed 4 graduate credits. My goal wasn't to learn the course. My
Mm-hmm.
goal was to get 4 graduate credits. I needed a C minus.
Gotta
So
gotta go. Gotta go.
always have a purpose. That's the first tip. Always know what your win is. My
Mm-hmm.
win was not to learn educational psychology. It was to get 4 graduate credits so I would keep my license active as a teacher. So it was a different goal than someone trying to learn in math. I think a B plus in 7 hours on a 5 month course with
Yeah,
a
I'll take it.
was it's still not bad. I mean,
I'll
but
take it.
I wasn't seeking an A. I was just seeking the credits. So the goal was credits, not learning.
So okay. So hold on, let me backtrack. You're reading because my eyes are hurting me already, just trying to think of
Mm.
looking at those pages and whatever.
Well, I'll teach you how today. You'll see you can do it.
Reading those books, the size of those books, and then I'm like, let me put full screen on you. Look at all those books. How many books have you read?
I'm going to say about 30,000, but I don't only read books. I read a lot online. I think today more reading is online. It's Kindles, it's iPads, it's computer screens, it's laptops. Most people don't read books. I know my grandkids are in college. They don't have books. They have online reading. So I
Mm-hmm.
just created a new module for my program on how to read electronic readers because that's what people are reading. If
Right.
you ask an average person, they aren't buying book. For one thing, it's less expensive on a Kindle, a lot less expensive. It's better for the publisher because they don't have the printing cost, which is the biggest cost in publishing,
Mm-hmm.
and they can make a profit on a much smaller volume of readers. So everybody wins. The reader gets a better price, the publisher has lower risk, and more books get published because the risks go down. But reading is still the same.
You're right.
It's not that you're not reading and studying and learning. It's just that the input instead of a page, it's a screen. That's the
Mm.
main difference. But there's some significant changes I've made to accommodate the changes in how people read and how they should be reading now. But books will never completely go away. Like records are still coming back because they have a different quality to the sound than an MP3. So
You
studies have shown
yeah.
that you learn more from a physical book than an e-reader. That's a
Okay.
fact. And there's a reason there's a tactile dimension to a book. You can feel the page. You
Mm-hmm.
can tell if you're in the beginning or the middle or the end. There's a spatial layout, there's pictures and diagrams. We're on an electronic reader. You change the font or the spacing, everything moves. So there's no consistency like a book. Book pages don't move. You turn them, but what's there is there. It's not going to go on
So,
another page.
because for me, if I had a book and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to read this book," but then as you read it and okay, and then my mom used to ask me, "How you doing with that book?" And I used to show her, "Look, mom, I'm halfway." Because you had the little bookmarker, you could show her, "I'm halfway done." She's like, "Okay, keep going, keep going." You're right. With a Kindle, you can't see halfway, three quarters. What this tells you, chapter one. You don't feel that great because you can't see where you are. So I agree with you 110%.
No tactile stimulation. By the way, what you just said is very important. Because a lot of people measure their learning by how many pages, how many hours. I read for 4 hours or I read
Mhm.
400 pages. Doesn't matter. I did a graduate course in 7 hours and I read the book 4 times and I took the test in 50 minutes. Didn't matter how many pages I read. Didn't matter how many hours I read. What's really important in learning is do you know the meaning and significance of what you read, and can you remember and use it when you need it? So you can study a calculus book. You
Yeah.
can memorize every equation and know every equation in the calculus book and fail the test. You have no idea how to solve problems. You know what the equations are, but you don't know how to use them. And that's a big challenge in learning. A lot of people measure learning by time and pages instead of quality of understanding, which is much more important. And it isn't related to time or pages.
So is that why they always ask you, are you the teachers used to say, okay, are you retaining anything you're reading? Are you just
You
reading
can
the line?
retain it and still fail
Yeah.
because you don't understand the significance
Gotcha.
of
Gotcha.
what you learned. You can memorize all the equations and not know how to solve a problem.
Mm.
But you know the equations, you just don't know what they do or how they work. Oh, how do you take 3 or 4 of them to solve? Which 3 or 4 do you use? I don't know. I just know what the equations are. And that's what's going wrong. So what happens is they learn and they fail, and they're like, it didn't matter. I studied and I failed, and they drop out. And we're
Uh,
losing intelligent people who could have very bright futures, not
mhm.
because they lack intelligence, because they misunderstood what learning is. They didn't really learn how to learn. They just measured it by the wrong criteria and they gave up too soon. And it's a tragedy for all of us when someone leaves school. What are they going to do for a living in a knowledge based economy? All the low level jobs
Yep.
going to be right now. They actually have trucks driving without drivers in short spurts. They have a Amazon warehouse where they are driving the truck by computer. In the next 5 to 10 years, there will be no more truck drivers. It'll all be computers. Why would you want someone who has to go to the bathroom or take a sleep break or eat, get paid when a machine can work around the clock, drive nonstop, doesn't take breaks, doesn't get paid, doesn't get sick? It's a no-brainer. The problem is, what are those 5 million people going to do for a living? They're not going to become brain surgeons. There's a reason they drive trucks. So there's a problem when a lot of the people who are in entry level positions like waitressing or dishwashing, when they start computerizing all those jobs, which they will, where do they transition to when all the other simple jobs are gone? They can't. The solution is to get more information where you get paid better wages. Too many people think you make more money working more hours or jobs. No, you don't make more money that way. You pay more taxes. You make more money by learning another skill that pays better. Then you work less hours and make more money. And it requires the knowledge of how to learn. And that's really what I teach, how to learn so you can make more money and work less hours and have a life, not work four jobs a day and barely have time to sleep or see your family.
So at the end of the day, what is the key thing you always tell everybody about reading?
It's not learning. The way I teach it's the Swiss Army knife. Reading is the big blade. You do need to read, but you also need to understand. So you could read without understanding. So comprehension is more important than how fast or what you're reading. Two, you need to remember it so you can use it when you need it. That's another skill. Three, you need EQ skills. Suppose I teach you to drive and you're ready for your road test. You failed because you got nervous. Many people get nervous taking exams. Affects their performance. That's EQ. You have to know how to stay focused and calm using the data. I trained the U.S. Special Forces at Fort Bragg in the Royal Thai Army how to stay focused under fire. Because if they don't remember what they learned, they get killed. You have a bad day, you go home late. They have a bad day, they don't go home at all. EQ is very important.
Right.
So by teaching you how to learn faster, how to make better understanding out of what you're learning, you don't just learn the equations, but how to use them, how to remember them when you need them, how to use them and not get tense or nervous when you're applying them. Now you've got a solution that's not just one dimensional, looking at a page and moving your hand, which is what everyone else is doing. So that's what I've done differently. I've integrated multiple learning skills, which are applicable both in books and online e-reading.
Okay, so let's gonna go forward now. We're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to know the tips and tricks. I want to know what's going on. I want to know how we're doing this. I want to know, what we need to do. So stay tuned, everybody. If you want to know how to read fast, take it in from the best in the world. Stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. CMJ Entertainment is a one-stop shop. CMJ Entertainment helps people do any type of events, and it's a marketing tool as well. So we'll cover everything from start to finish. If it's a wedding, we'll make sure your wedding is over the top. And if it's an event, we make sure that everybody gets information at the end of the day. Give us a call at 416-414-8964 or online, go to cmjent.com. All right. I usually play like 2 commercials, but I just cut one off because I'm like,
I liked it. I was interested.
I'm like, I gotta get into this knowledge about how we can read faster. We got the best of the best. Okay, let me backtrack though, because I want to put your title back up again. Okay, it says right there, world's fastest reader. How did you become the world's fastest reader? Like, did you Guinness Book of World Records came? Like, how did all that accomplish? How did all that work?
I'll give you the short answer first, and then the long one. The short answer is I read faster than everyone else. That doesn't that doesn't help very much. So I mentioned as a child, I read a lot because that was the only thing I could do safely. And then when I went to college, I went at 17. I majored in biology. I went to the State University of New York, Binghamton. In the second half of my junior year, I got interested in the brain and how it learns. So I said to the dean, I want to also major in psychology. He looked at me and said, you have 1 year left. You had no psych courses. So I have to do the whole 4-year program in 1 year and take 6 science courses with 2 4-hour labs. And lab reports took 16 hours on a slide rule back then. So it's 40 hours of lab, 18 credits of science.
Right.
And to make it hard, I had 3 jobs. I worked 18 hours a week. So he said, you're not smart enough. And then I realized they never taught me how to learn.
Right.
They tell you what to learn and why to learn. When you don't learn, like that way you hear a song once on the radio, you never forget it.
Right.
When you read the 7 habits of highly effective people, and the next day you don't know any habits. There's got to be a way to learn things that matter, the way you learn those songs. I got up to 80 pages a minute using what I learned, and I did the psych program in 1 year. And then I took the GRE, which is an SAT for graduate school in biology. And to review, I read 48 books in 3 nights, like biochemistry, cell physiology, genetics, not light reading. You wouldn't call those comic book level books. I got 3 questions wrong. I got an 800, so I was in the 99th percentile in the world. And then it was like, gee, is it me or the system? There's a difference between I can do it or I can teach you. So I taught children, 11 to 15. These were not adults. These are kids. How to do it. And they read a 30-chapter book in lifelong developmental psychology, which is a sophomore college course. They were 11 to 15, so they shouldn't have been doing that. They read the book in 1 week, and they took the AP test, the CLEP, and 15 out of 18 passed the course in a week, which told me it wasn't just that I could teach it, but even to very young people at 11 years old doing college classes in a week. And that changed everything for me. I realized now I had a responsibility to teach as many people as I can. Because if you watch the news, does anyone say there's too many smart people making too many good? I haven't heard that. No one watching the news complains about the brilliance they're seeing in front of them.
How smart they are.
You can't fix every problem, but I can help people get smarter so they can fix problems. And that's my job. My job is to help people get so smart they can do better than they're doing now, but also what they do will help everyone else be happier and more successful as well. And that's a good thing to do with your life. It's a fun way to make a living.
So let me ask you this question. Do you feel that people don't read anymore? Everything's on
Yes.
videos. Like talk about like what your thoughts on about reading and where's it gone and how, for kids especially, it's all about the, computerized laptops. We talked about it earlier.
Yes.
The tablet, like talk about that.
The world's changed. It's no longer just books. There's videos, there's audios, there's PDFs. I mean, there's just all kinds of media. They call it media learning. It's not just reading. That's why I cover learning, not just reading, because it's not just about looking at words on a page anymore. It's about learning to take notes on things someone's telling you in a workshop or a meeting. It's learning to take notes from a video or an audio. And the learning part is the same. It's just
Mhm.
the media that's different. Whether you're looking at words on a page or hearing spoken words or videoed words,
Okay.
it's the same concept of processing that information, making sense of it, retaining it, being able to use it when you need it, and staying in the right frame of mind so you use it successfully. So I've gone past simply reading books
Right.
to learning information at a higher level. And books are one of the inputs that you would learn from, but it isn't the only input that you would learn from. You would be learning from multiple media inputs today. It's different.
Okay. All right, we're gonna do something real quick. Here we go. Because you are the fastest there is, we have a game called Rapid Fire. So I ask you questions real fast, and you just rapid fire your answers. You can answer them and give a little 30-second answers why you chose that one. But we're just gonna go through rapid fire today.
Yes, 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 no.
All right, here we go. Pick A, B, C, or D. Give me a letter. A, B, C, or D.
See.
C. All right. Let's go. Here we go, my friend. I want to know. This is going to be fun. I'm doing rapid fire with the fastest there is. Here we go. All right. What letter did you choose?
See.
E. All right. Here we go.
See for Charles.
All right. What is here we go. What is success for you?
It's making a difference in your life and making a living doing it.
All right. Sunset or sunrise?
It's different on different days. I can't. There's not a preference there. I think it depends on if I'm going to have a more exciting evening or a more exciting day. So for some days it's the morning and some it's the evening. There is no one that's always right.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
What's your favorite dessert?
Chocolate cake.
What's the first thing you notice about people when you meet them?
That's a good question. I judge. I try to feel people's energy. Are they compassionate? Are they committed to helping, or are they negative? There's people who are trying to make a difference and build a better world, and then there are people who are tearing it down. And I try to feel the kind of person I'm dealing with. Is this a person that is constructive and positive and trying to move us forward as a human race, or is it
Mhm.
someone who's bitchy and complaining
Right.
and pulling other people down? I kind of look for that energy feel. I'm very good at feeling out a person's energy.
All right. So, what is the best fashion advice you've gotten?
Don't wear what you're wearing. That's my wife.
Okay. What's the best compliment you ever got then?
My best compliment. Um, oh, I've gotten many compliments because of my reading speed, but some people tell me I look like William Shatner. I said it could do worse than
Hey,
that.
you know something? I saw it, but I didn't want to say it. But there you go.
I mean, it could Captain Kirk. I mean, it could be a lot worse than looking like Captain Kirk. You
What?
know, but
Then this question is the last one. What is your favorite TV show?
I liked Star Trek a lot. I like 24 was very good. I didn't like the violence, but I thought it was an interesting show. The Sopranos was excellent. I
There you
enjoyed
go,
that.
my friend. You made it through rapid fire, my friend. Great job.
Okay.
So let's get into the nitty gritty. How do you do what you do? And we're gonna pull up your website because I think you have a lot of tips and tricks in your website. You can learn from this gentleman right now. You can learn from the best. What are you looking for? Are you looking to learn? Are you looking to retain? Are you in college, university? You have a job test coming up. You got like all these things that you want to learn. Here's where you can do it. This is your website. So talk us through it.
Well, why don't I show people how to get started reading faster, how to improve comprehension and retention? That would be a good beginning step. Would that be okay?
Yep.
First, getting quicker. I could get you about 40% faster in the next, I'd say 2 minutes. Pick a book you've read when the show is over, preferably nonfiction, and read for a minute with a timer. Normal. Don't do anything different than you would normally do and see how far you get. And then take a pen or a pencil, put a little mark. That's how far I read now. Now go to the second chapter. Here's the magic. Take your hand and go across one line at a time with your eye following your hand, and this is important, as fast as you could comprehend. So as long as you know what you're reading, go quicker and quicker and quicker till you don't. And that's when you know you went too fast because you know what you're reading already. Slow down just enough so the comprehension comes back, and at the fastest speed you can comprehend for 5 minutes, one line at a time, eyes following your hand. Now go back to the first chapter where you tested yourself and time yourself for a minute using your hand as fast as you could comprehend, and you're going to be astounded. You're going to go 20 to 40% further than the little mark that you did in the first minute. And that's the first step. In the Berg learning program, we take you through the rest of it. We don't have time to do a full program, but that's a good first step. And then the next thing we'll discuss is comprehension.
All right. So let me backtrack now. So what is the eyes doing when you do the line? And what's your brain telling you, your eyes telling you?
Good question. The eyes are continually moving. Sometimes when people see something interesting, so what do? They read it again. It isn't changing. You're wasting time learning what you know already. You don't have that much time. You have to keep looking for new information you don't know yet that matters, that has significance. So by keeping the eyes entrained by the hand, one, you keep going. Two, you don't get distracted and your eyes start wandering all over the page because you can't think of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It helps with a problem many people have called visual regression, which is where they read words over and over, like you're in, you're in the show. And they read one word and two words, then three words, then four, and it slows them down. But
Okay.
the hand's keeping that eye moving. So
Mm-hmm.
that goes away. So it deals with a lot of visual distractions that could occur and slow you down. So the hand it's like a conductor's baton.
Right.
Everyone in the orchestra can play the instrument well, or they wouldn't be there. But it takes someone to coordinate them. And your hand is the baton of the conductor. It keeps your brain and eye connected on new material continuously instead of stopping and going back every 2 seconds. That alone will increase your speed significantly. But more important than speed, I think you'll agree, is comprehension. Most people don't want to read or read faster. They want to learn faster, understand better. And that's what I'm really doing. I'll give an example. About 25 years ago, when MSNBC first launched, Dick Cavett was one of their first talk show hosts. He was a famous host, like Stephen Colbert is now, but many years ago. And we got to be friends, and we were chatting after the show. And he said he interviewed Woody Allen, and Woody said he took Evelyn Woods, which was the big speed reading program at the time, and he read War and Peace, which is enormous. in 5 minutes. And Dick said, "That's incredible, Woody. What do you remember?" And Woody said, "It's about the Russian Revolution. That's all I remember." I'll give you a joke so people sometimes say I sound like Woody Allen. So I was on a radio show. It says, "You sound like Woody Allen." I said, "Sun Yi, please be patient. Daddy will be home soon." And then they said, "Oh, that's terrible." I said, "Why, I'm lying?" Tell me what I didn't say. That's true. So anyway, the guy who owned Evelyn Woods during its heyday was Maurice Thompson Jr., and he hired me to teach his son my system. He said, "You've gone past speed reading, speed learning, and I'm going to show you why and how right now." One of the key elements in comprehension is called schema. And rather than tell you what it is, I'll demonstrate how it works. I'm going to read a passage that has no schema. It'll be confusing. I'll read it a second time, and this time I'll put on a title with schema, and instantly it'll make sense. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is the schemaless text. Watch how confusing it is. This is an easy thing to do. If possible, you could do it at home, but you could always go someplace else if it's necessary. Beware of overdoing it. This is a major mistake that may cost you quite a bit of money. You have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to read it again, but the title will make it make sense. One word title is laundry. Laundry. This is an easy thing to do. If possible, you could do it at home, but you could always go someplace else if it's necessary. Beware of overdoing it. This is a major mistake and may cost you quite a bit of money. Now it makes sense. So by teaching people where these clues are, they're like the decoder ring. They make the meaning pop on the page. So even in very technical material, law, medicine, accounting, it makes more sense even at the higher speed, because you're not just going through mechanics like I showed you with your hand, but you're using the psychology of what your brain does to understand text. That means you're getting more understanding and meaning even at the higher speeds. We actually did a double-blind study using the Nelson-Denny, which is a standardized test for speed and for comprehension. And the 100 people in the study, everyone doubled or quadrupled, most doubled, with no loss of comprehension. So we know for certain a normal person can do this. We had a 84-year-old, Ruth Lubin in California, read 3 books in 3 hours the day after I taught her. So it isn't that you're too old. My oldest student was 92, and they went 100% faster. So again, speed is not my primary goal. It is something that happens. The goal is learning, and that's why it's not just learning books. It's learning videos. It's learning audios. It's being in a workshop or a lecture hall. It's knowing what to look for, knowing when you found it, knowing how to make sense of it, and being able to use it later when you need it. If you'd like, I could show you to start that.
Yes, let's go. Let's go. I'm showing everybody. So you have these books that are out. You have these great courses that are out. So if they're interested, please do go ahead, log on, get the information. I think this is something great that everybody should do, because in the long run, it's going to help you in every aspect of your life, job, work, anything you do.
And your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids won't live with you till they're 40. More children between 26, young adults between 26 and 40 live with their parents today that are married, because they can't afford to pay off their college loans and pay rent. It's one or the other.
Right.
No, that isn't the way you want your kids to go. You want them with you till you're 50 or 60? I don't think so. You need them to get smart enough to make a better living. So it'll help them succeed in school and get a better job, or start their own company even better. It'll help you make more money at work or learn new skills fast. And it helps mommy and daddy and grandma and grandpa. I'm 72. No one thinks I'm senile. It helps keep your brain young.
Yes.
If you sit on your butt and do nothing, your brain's like a muscle. Don't use it, it turns to flab.
Yeah.
You want to be sharp, you got to keep using it. And they said reading, there was a study, the Baltimore and Seattle longitudinal study on aging, which I read I think in 90 seconds 30 years ago. It said that people in their 80s that read had a lower onset of dementia and Alzheimer's, the stimulation it gave their brain kept it young longer. So you get it for your company to make money. You give it to your kids so they don't live with you till they're 40, and grandma and grandpa don't become vegetables, which nobody wants to see happen. And it happens too often.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Everyone. And we help them. We have a team of people that make sure they learn it. And when they can't do it, I personally do it for two reasons. I want to know what's going on. If someone has a problem, I need to fix it. And then I make sure I change the program so no one else has the problem. So after 35 years, very, very, very few people have a problem, which is why I want to know, because it's very rare that it happens. I've already fixed the problems over the decades. So if something comes up that I didn't think of, I need it. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what they think. They're the people.
You gotta know what's going on.
I'm a Rotary president, and Rotary is about doing what you promise. So we want to make sure people learn what they paid for, or they don't have to pay for it because they didn't get what they paid for. I don't think people should be paying for things they don't get. You should pay for what you did get. That's fair. So I want to make sure that they get what they paid for so that it benefits us all. We're a family. The human race is a family. Too many people look at what makes us different instead of what makes us the same. We're only as strong as the weakest member of the family. That's a reality. And if we would put more time into helping people at the bottom raise up, there'd be fewer people at the bottom. A lot of the strife and anger in the world is from people that are desperate. They have nothing. So they have nothing to lose. Well, imagine they had a lot to lose. They wouldn't be doing the things they're doing.
Right.
So my job is to help people be smarter, make better choices, make better livings, and hopefully create a better world. And I can't do it by myself, but by empowering other people to be the best they can be, whatever that is. The reason you and I are here today is only one reason. Somebody's growing food right now that you and I need to eat.
Right.
And someone's making clothes, and somebody else is making my eyeglasses or your glasses. If people weren't doing the things they're doing, we'd have to do it ourselves. You should be grateful to everyone you meet. There's no little people and there's no little jobs. Without those people doing what they do, you couldn't do what you do. You should be grateful. But my goal is to raise them up, to get them to a higher level of income, to get them to a higher level of success. Because it's not going to come from bullets. It's going to come from education.
All right. So let me ask you this. I see hundreds of books behind you. Okay. Give me your top 3 books.
Well, the topic's significant. So in business, the top book in business is Donald Moyne, Moines, Unlimited Selling Power. So if you're in business and you don't know how to sell, you're out of business. Okay. That's just the way it works. I don't care if you're a doctor, a neurosurgeon, I don't care what you do. If you don't have patience, you're done. That's the end of your practice. You stop practicing.
Straight up. So, all right. There you go. Next one.
Now, I love metaphysics. I love learning about why are we here and where are we going.
Okay.
One of the best books is The Fourth Way by P.D. Ouspensky. And it explains the dichotomy of our personalities, the different eyes. One eye says, I'm going to diet. And another eye says, I really want a piece of chocolate cake right now. So you go on a diet, and then eventually it's like, I'm getting a piece of chocolate cake. And then you go, why did I do that? I'm on a diet. So there's a conflict between these different inner voices. You should be doing that. That's not the right thing. And then the other voice says, well, that would feel good. I'll do it anyway. And then you do it, and then you're like, why did I do that stupid thing? It explains this dichotomy of self and how to find the true inner self, the guide, the voice you should actually listen to, the good angel, and where it is and how to find it. So we're not living in this dualistic state of inner conflict. That's a great book. The Fourth Way by P.D. Ouspensky. That's another book I liked. I think another book was trying to think of the name of the book. Franz Bardone. He wrote a book on magic, and it was just amazing. It's way out there. I'm not going to tell you it isn't, but it was one of the most interesting books. And don't buy it in German. You probably would want it in English. I just speak German.
All right,
but I like reading all over the place. I read books on how to play guitar. I read books on marketing. I read books on the brain and learning. I read books on how to write. I think people make a mistake when they stay in one niche. Like a doctor reads medical books, a lawyer reads law books, an architect reads architectural books, and you don't get out of your niche. So you just see what everyone else is seeing, and you don't know what everyone else knows in your niche. When you break barriers and you start learning in other areas that normally people don't look at, you see things they're missing. And suddenly you realize, hey, that'll work in my niche. No one's using that. And
well, there you go. Well, listen, my friend, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. And tell the people again, if you want to learn, to get to that next level, there you go. Send him an email. Love to send an email, get to know. Go to his website, check it out, and just look at those little tips. Read, comprehend. What are you learning? Don't stop reading. Look at all the books around. Go to his website.
And there's some free lessons there, too.
See, that's what we like to hear. Thank you so much, my friend, for coming and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, everybody, look, I can't bring you. I bring you the best. You know, he's got the title. Why? Why he's got the title? Learn from him. Learn to retain. Learn to study. And that's what we're here for. So like I always say, you didn't have to watch, but I'm glad that you did. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you, my friend.
Has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.
Please be advised that this podcast is meant for educational and informational purposes only and is in no way a replacement for legal or medical advice. The opinions contained within are solely those of the interviewers and interviewees and should be received as so. Those seeking help or advice